I've gone and bought some books, even though I am on a book buying ban. I'm trying to read all of the books that I have before buying new ones, but I feel like that's not gonna happen. Well, it already hasn't happened because I just bought 2. I also really just want to buy some new books in the new year. I thought I'd show you the books that I have bought. I got them from the new independent bookshop in my town. Okay, so the first book I got because my friend has read like all 3 of the books, and she said that the character is like super unlikable, and yeah, the books are just kind of icky, which I love. I love feeling uncomfortable and like hating a character. I felt the same in like my year of rest and relaxation. Like, she was just really annoying, but it was a great book. So I got The Diary of an Oxygen Thief by Anonymous. It just says that this book is about what we do to each other and what we allow to have done to ourselves. And then I can't believe it's taken me this long to buy this book. It came out obviously in hardback first, and you know I don't like hardback, so I've had to wait like a year for this. I got Babel. Is it Babel or Babel? I'm not sure. It's by R.F. Kuang. I actually have no idea what this is about, but I quite like going into stories like that, just kind of having no idea what to expect, because my expectations for it are already so high because of the hype. I feel like it's good to not know what the story could be. I'm very excited about all of them, so I'm gonna get back to reading. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you had a really good one, a safe one. I did plan to have a really chilled night, watch a movie. My friends had other ideas, which was fun. The next day wasn't so fun. So because now it's 2024, I thought it was time to do my 2023 wrap up. Last year I only showed you guys like the top 10 and also like my worst books of the year, but this year I have not read that many. I've read 34, which is still a lot of books, but it's not as many, so I feel like I can get through them a bit quicker. How shall I do this? Shall I do it in order or shall I do it worst to best? In order makes sense for my brain. So starting with possibly my favorite book of the year, it's Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. Controversial book. Lots of people think it's disgusting. In a nutshell, this is about a queer woman who has an eating disorder, and then she meets this other woman who loves to eat and loves to feed other people. So you can imagine that's pretty tricky for her, and she also has an overbearing mum and some religious trauma. This was one of the only books that I've put tabs in this year. I thought I was going to do it for every single book, but then I forgot. There was a lot of things that I related to. I think that's why I enjoyed it. Before I put you off by saying it's kind of a gross book, if you liked the movie Saltburn, then I feel like you'll like this book. So yeah, Milk Fed, 5 out of 5 stars. By the way, I record everything on my Goodreads, so that's what I'm looking at right now. Second book that I read in 2023 was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This was one of those super hyped books. I was like, I need to know what it's about. Why does everyone love this so much? I have rated it 3.75. It is a good book, but it just didn't meet the expectations that everyone set for me. I do quite like a book that is about gaming, and this is more about kind of the business side to that and the friendship of the business owners, but I wouldn't say no to recommending it. Next, I think I was falling behind already with my reading goal, and so I was like, I need to read some graphic novels because it's pictures and they're quick. So I ended up rereading Saga Volume 1 because I bought Saga Volume 2. 4 stars, 4.5 stars, I think. I really enjoy this series and I do want to buy all of the other ones. Also, as an illustration student, I love looking at the styles of other illustrators, and this is kind of like a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but with aliens. It's kind of sexy as well, which is, I know that sounds really weird, but like, trust me, it's good. The next 2 graphic novels I read were Paper Girls 3 and 4. I'm not gonna read all of them all at once. I like to kind of treat myself every now and again because, oh my god, look how beautiful these are. This is a bit like Stranger Things. Why did I say it like that? Stranger Things. It's about these girls who were paper girls and then they kind of get transported through time by these aliens. Again, more aliens. And they keep kind of hopping around through time. I am kind of confused. I don't really know what's happening when I'm reading this, but I'm having a good time. That's all I know. So that was my graphic novel interlude. Then, what did I get onto? I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Fantastic book. 5 stars, I think I gave it. If you don't know who Jeanette McCurdy is, she was a child actress, famously on iCarly. She played Sam, who was like kind of the kooky friend of Carly. This unfortunately is about the abuse that she went through from her mum and kind of her experience within Hollywood as such a young girl. It is very traumatic. I think she's a really amazing person. I read it, but apparently she does do the voice for the audiobook. A lot of people recommend that as well because it's like you're having the conversation with her. Amazing. I really think you should read that one. See, this is why I don't really do talky videos because it hurts my voice. Next up, I almost forgot about it. I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. Again, another one of those hyped up books that didn't really meet my expectations. I did rate it a 3.5 out of 5, but if I'm honest, I can't really remember what this is about. And like, I think that shows that it didn't really stick with me. I think this woman, I think she's a lesbian and she gets a job at a Catholic church, which obviously the two don't really mix most of the time. She somehow gets kind of wound up in this murder investigation. It's kind of funny. I mean, I've rated it 3.5, so surely at the time I did enjoy it. And then I went on to a book that my friend gave to me, which I have failed to give back, and I hate it when people don't give me my books back. So I'm actually really embarrassed about this and I need to post it to her. But I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I find it very strange when people have the same name as me because it doesn't really happen often, but it's cool. It's like I've written the book by Coco. It is a literary fiction of a woman who is in New York, and I'm pretty sure she marries someone to get a green card. I think both Cleopatra and Frankenstein are a little bit confused about why they married each other, or they both have different reasons for it, and that creates a lot of tension. It's a young girl in her 20s marrying an older man, so I'm sure you can imagine the issues that crop up in this book. I rated it 4 stars. I definitely recommend this one. The next book I actually don't own anymore because I didn't like it. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson is an amazing author who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That's going to become a TV series soon, and I'm so excited because I adored the books. However, I think again I set my expectations very high, so when I read this I was like, I was just let down. But these kids, they are going on holiday or something together in a camper van. They get stranded in the middle of nowhere. Someone starts shooting at their camper van and they're trying to figure out how to get out of this situation, and the whole book takes place within 10 hours or something. And from what I've heard, lots of other people have enjoyed that book. Next, I read Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zona. This is a memoir by the artist behind Japanese Breakfast, and this is about her relationship with her mum. As you can see, I've read a few of those books. I love my mum, don't worry, but mother-daughter relationships are always complicated. Again, with this book, there's a lot of kind of connotations with food and comfort and also culture. I think she's the first generation Asian American, so there's a difference between them in that sense as well. So this does unpack quite a lot. I rated it 3.5. Next, I read another book that my friend lent me, and it was called Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and I rated it 3 out of 5. I thought nothing happened, and maybe that was the point, and it was fully about these two men being in love, or was it an infatuation? It's complicated. It's also a very poignant book because at the time being gay was not as accepted as it is now, and so this book was blacklisted from a lot of countries, so it was very important in the movement. I don't like it that much, and I think that's okay. I moved on to My Brilliant Friend, and I rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's about this young girl in Italy. I feel like it was around the 40s or 50s, and obviously back then it was very different for women, and she was expected to kind of get married very young and not to go to school. She doesn't do that, whereas her best friend doesn't continue with school and gets married, and there's kind of the comparison between the two. It's very relatable. 2 girls in Italy growing up. I tend to be really bad with series, and I'll read the first book and then I'll wait years to read any of the other ones. For example, I think it took a decade for the author to write the second book, which is Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. The first book was We Were Liars. I loved We Were Liars. I think I rated it 5 stars. But yeah, I read this because I was super excited, and I rated it 3.5, I think. And this is actually the prequel. It's basically a super rich family who owns an island, and on the island lots of things happen. It's mostly about teenagers, so it's teen family drama. But yeah, I haven't really read a YA book in a while, so this was kind of really fun, easy and fast for me. Definitely like a summer book. The next book I read is another one I don't own anymore because, again, I didn't like it. And you might be shocked because it was The Atlas 6. Very TikTok famous. The premise is that there's this magical society that 6 people were kind of chosen to get through the trials, but only 5 of them can be let in. On paper, I think it sounds really good. I just don't think it was written very well. It felt like a Wattpad book, but like a bad one. The next book I really enjoyed, and that was Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jędraszewski. Funnily enough, I enjoyed this book, but it's kind of like another version of Giovanni's Room, like a modern version of it. It's set in Poland and it's about these two boys who meet at a farming camp, and then when they go back to the city, they have to navigate whether they stay together, because at the time it was very dangerous to be gay in Poland. I still don't think it's great, but at the time in this, I think you could go to jail. Giovanni's Room is referenced a lot in this, so you might want to read that first before reading this, but I don't think it's necessary. I rated this 4 stars. Next book I also hated, Milk Teeth by Jessica Andrews. It's about this girl who goes to Spain with her boyfriend. They haven't been together very long, but she goes with him because she's like, I don't really enjoy my life here. Let me just go and see if I can enjoy myself in Spain. I feel like nothing happened. I have read books where literally nothing's happened and I've enjoyed it. And then I'll read a book like this where nothing happens and I've hated it. I can't tell you what it is that switches it for me and makes it okay, and I think I rated it 2 stars. Sorry, but this just wasn't for me. Next, I read a book called Rosewater, and it's about a queer woman who, I think she loses her house. She has to go and live with her best friend or her ex-best friend. She's a struggling poet, and it's about her trying to kind of follow that dream to make that her career, and I really enjoyed that because I'm a creative person and I'm trying to make that my job. I rated the book 3 stars because I thought the ending was just, it was very cliche and it was not necessary to the story, but the lead up to it I actually quite enjoyed. Next is a trilogy that I read in summer because the 2nd season was coming out on Prime. I wanted to read the books before I watched the TV series and I kind of regret it. Honestly. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. This is a trilogy about a love triangle between this girl and these 2 brothers. The whole dynamic is a bit weird, but it's all set in summer and at their summer house, and it's teen drama, and they also got progressively worse. Next, I read The Satsuma Complex by Bob Mortimer. He is an English comedian, so I was like, ooh, this is gonna be kind of funny, and it was kind of funny, but it's also a murder mystery. I really like the combination of crime and comedy. I know that sounds kind of insensitive, but I think it's a really interesting dynamic. This one is about a guy whose friend kind of goes missing and then he has to figure out where he's gone and what's happened to him. It's an okay book, like 3 out of 5. The next book I read, pretty sure I rated this 5 stars, and that is A House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. It's a magical world, but it also has humans in it. The humans are scared of the magical beings, so the magical children are all kept in homes. The main character is a children's home inspector. It's about found family, kind of overcoming prejudices. It really touched me. I really did love this book. Then I went on to a book that I really don't like. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This I only read because Jack Edwards rated it like 4 stars. It's about this woman who meets a guy and he takes her to his family home on this island, and he's super rich and his dad's really famous, and then it gets really weird. I could never imagine anyone doing what this woman did, and you know what, if my friend was doing that, I'd be really upset with them. I just couldn't connect with the book. So yeah, I think I ended up rating it like 2.5, but I think that says something in itself. You know, Jack Edwards, who I trust to recommend very good books, I didn't like this one, and that's fine. That's not his fault. He enjoyed the book. That doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy it, and it doesn't mean that you're not gonna enjoy it. Take all of these books and my recommendations with a pinch of salt. We're just 2 different people and we have different tastes, and that's okay. Okay, and then I went on holiday, and the first book I read was The Maid by Nina Prose, and this is about a maid who walks in on a dead body. She's a bit of an odd girl, but yeah, I love a little murder mystery. I loved this book. I think I rated it like 4. The next book I read on holiday was Insatiable by Daisy Buchanan. I didn't like this one as much. I think I rated it 2.5 or 3 stars. It's about a girl who gets groomed into a relationship with this married couple. She is in her late 20s, I want to say, so it's not like she was a minor, but it's still very manipulative. There's a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex parties. She's also trying to get employed by them, so there's a really bad power dynamic. It's a bit of a mess, okay? Then I read maybe my second favourite book of the year. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this woman so much. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a genius. I know I'm late to the game, but I just watched Daisy Jones and the Six on Prime. I thought that was amazing, and this is about a tennis player who is at the top of her game and then she retires because of an injury, and then years later someone is going to take her title. She starts training again to try and win back her title. Like with any Taylor Jenkins Reid book, there's so much more to it. There's loads of really interesting characters, deception and love and tragedy. I cried in this book. It's another 5 stars. Please read this book. Fantastic. Then we took another dip. Don't read this one. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover was the last nail in Colleen Hoover's coffin for me. I vowed to myself I would never read Colleen Hoover again. And then I read this book and now I'm like doubly sure it's never gonna happen. I'm not judging you if you like her writing. I have enjoyed her books in the past. I just despise the names that she gives to all of her characters. It's just so annoying and so cringy. Who is called Lily Bloom? And why do you own a flower shop? Next, I read a book purely because I heard it was like Normal People, and that's Talking at Night by Claire Daverley. Maybe it's unfair to compare because they are quite different. I think I rated this 3.5 out of 5. It's about their relationship with each other at different parts of their lives. There are no speech marks, so that's something similar to Sally's writing. So you're not really sure what's being spoken aloud. You're not really sure what's going through their heads. It starts off when they're teenagers. Some really tragic event happens that kind of links them, but also makes them not want to be together. If you liked Normal People, I would recommend this book. Don't get your hopes up like it's gonna be better or exactly the same, because it's not. Next is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This is a murder mystery book. This girl whose dad was sent to prison for being a serial killer, but it's years later now and the same type of crimes are happening again. More girls are going missing and turning up dead. So she gets involved in that. It's quite an intense book. I rated it 3 stars. If you like murder mysteries, then I almost stopped at murder just then. I think you'll quite like this book. Next is an amazing book. I read Watching Women and Girls by Danielle Pender. I rated this 4 stars, and this is a collection of short stories, each about a different girl, a different woman, and their individual experience. At the top it says, examines the pillars of female life from every angle, and that's a perfect description. Thank you, Vogue. I think I said the same with a book called Kim Ji Young, born 1982. Amazing book. Kind of the same vibe as that. It just displays what it's like to be a girl and a woman in today's world. Next, I read Really Good Actually by Monica Hazy. Actually, that's a lie. After those other books, I actually attempted to read 3 other books. I never finished them. I got about halfway and my attention span just couldn't do it. A Man Called Ove, Bunny, and Mistakes Were Made. I do plan on finishing these books. I was just doing so much at uni and reading was taking a backseat, and this was the first book that I had actually finished in like 2 months. This is about a woman who is going through a divorce. It's kind of funny, it's kind of relatable. She's not a great human being, but she gets better throughout the book. She kind of thinks all of the problems in her life are because of external factors rather than her being the problem. If you like Dolly Alden's writing, then I think you'll like this book. Okay, there's 2 more books, I promise, and then we're done. The next book I read was Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami, and this again is another book about being a woman, but specifically in Japan. I rated it 3.75, 4-ish out of 5. It's about this woman who is a writer and she's struggling for money. Her mother died, but she's got her sister and her sister's got a daughter. And it's also about women's bodies, women's sexuality, women's place in society. I'm really annoyed because if I had like finished the year on that book, I would have been very happy. But instead I decided to read this, Diary of an Oxygen Thief. To be fair, it only took me a day to read, so it's not like I wasted lots of time. The author of this book is anonymous. Maybe it's because it's a terrible book, but also the main character is just like a psychopath. Basically, it's this guy who likes to hurt women. He'll go on dates with them and he'll get them to fall in love with him, and then right when that happens, he'll just be like, oh yeah, I slept with someone else. Like he likes to break their hearts. It kind of didn't lead anywhere. The middle was all over the place. I like the front cover. It's just suddenly gotten very dark. So unfortunately, I ended 2023 on not a great note. I still read some really good books this year. I think these are my favorite books from this year. And as for reading goals for 2024, I do want to try and read a book a week. I don't think the number of books that you read is really that important, but setting a goal does help motivate me to read more. Don't want to be on my phone all the time. I'd like to try and read a few more non-fiction books this year, expand my horizons. And then my last reading goal for 2024 is to be more intentional with my books. I don't want to read something just because everyone else has liked it. I'm going to properly research them and not just take a recommendation from anyone. I don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to waste it. Let me know what your reading goals are for this year. What was your favorite book of 2023 and what was your least favorite? Good luck to everyone with their reading goals, and I'll see you in my next video.